Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to solve the problem uh, for chapter 6 about normal probability distribution. If we want to know what is the value, what is, for example, in this case, what is the mileage for the Greer Tire Company problem, that gives us no more than 10% of the tires in the distribution. Okay, uh, just for a reference and show you a different problem. This is very similar to this problem here. What is the cost for the highest 3% of domestic airfares? When you have this type of problem, we solve them also taking notes about the mean, standard deviation, and probability, drawing, and using Excel. And we're going to use this formula in Excel. Norm inverse equal norm dot inverse, and then the probability we want, the mean and standard deviation. Let me show you how to solve this problem here for the Greer Tire Company. So let's go to Excel. Remember, this is the mean and the standard deviation for the Greer Tire Company problem. I'm going to solve this here. Probability lower than 10%. This is what we want, right? What is the value? So what is the mileage? That gives us less than 10%. Okay, so to solve this problem, what we do is equal norm dot inverse. Inverse because we're going from the percentage, the probability, to a value. I open parentheses, and then the first information I have to enter to Excel is the probability. So the probability is 0.1, which means 10%. Excel understands probabilities in decimals, okay? So remember about that. The mean is 36,500. I type comma, standard deviation is 5,000, close parentheses. So the mileage is 30,000 miles. So this is the mileage that gives me no more than 10% of all tires of the distribution. Okay, so 30,000 miles is the mileage guarantee that the like marketing people has to like advertise, saying if your tire has a problem and has less than 30,000 miles, we give you a new tires for free. That's something like that. Okay, so now let's take a look at a different one, which is this one. This is again the cost of domestic airfares in the United States, and I want to know the cost for the highest 3%. So if I draw, let's start a new one. So if I follow the steps I'm proposing to you, you take notes about the mean, standard deviation, and the probability you want. So you want 3%. The is 110 the standard deviation, and the mean is 385. You draw 385, and you want to know the top 3%, this entire area 3%, what is the value here. Okay, so I go back to Excel, and now let's do the highest 3%. Okay, let's use the same formula, equal norm dot inverse. Now comes the tricky part. What is the probability that we have to enter here? So what's the probability? If we type 0.03, which is 3%, Excel will understand that we're talking about this tail here, 3%. Okay? So this is what Excel understands. 3% takes some time for me to draw until we get here. So if I type 0.03 in Excel, Excel is going to give me the value that gives me to the probability up to this point here, okay, which is not what we want. So to be able to get this 3% in the upper tail, this is the tricky part that you have to pay attention to be able to solve. What you have to do to solve this problem here and get the upper 3% is subtract 1 minus the 3%, and then of course it's 100% minus 3%. This is 97%. Or you can do 1 minus 0.03, which is 0.97. Okay, this one you have to turn into decimal. So either way you can do, either one you can do to get, this is to get the probability that you have to enter in Excel. So for again repeating, for upper tail problems, you cannot enter the number you have. You have to get this number and subtract 100 from that number, and then the decimal, the resulting decimal amount you get is what you're going to enter into Excel, because Excel is giving us, again, to remind you, Excel is giving us the probability from the lower tail up to this point right here. Okay, so let's go back to Excel. So what is the probability I have to enter here? To get the highest 93, the highest 3, I have to enter 0.97, because that's the complement is going to be what I need. So 0.97, the mean is 385, the standard deviation is 110. Okay, so 591, going back to here. I'm sorry that's a little bit messy, but 591, let me erase this here. 500, let's wait for to show up on my screen. I'm using my iPad, so it takes some time. So 591 is the number, is the cost, is the price of airfare tickets that gives me the top 3%. So airfares higher than 591 are among the highest 3%, more expensive. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's go back here. So this is what I'm talking about here. Use this norm inverse probability. This Excel formula gives the X. I want to find the number 591 in our case, based on the probability from the left, always from the left to the right. Okay, if the probability is in the upper tail, like our top 5, top 3, the highest 3%, or other examples like the 10% most expensive, then what you do is you do 100 minus the probability given in the problem, and then this resulting number you are going to enter in Excel in the formula. Okay, so this is how you solve those problems. Finally, just as a reminder, you have, I want to show you that on MindTap, you have on chapter 6, right here, 6.2, you have a folder called Videos and Practice. You can expand, and then you have videos, other videos showing how to solve some of these problems maybe in a different way than the way I'm showing to you. So you can also watch these videos to complement your learning and see how you do it. Okay.